I feel quite nervous about doing this painting because um, it's for a friend, it's for a good friend, and it signifies something very specific to her. So I feel quite a lot of pressure on me on this. Normally I do a painting just for my own pleasure, and something that I just think would make a nice painting. But on this occasion, it's for a specific reason, and yeah, so I feel quite nervous about it. I want to do, I feel a lot of pressure to do a good job on it, and to for it to turn out exactly how I want, and hopefully how my friend wants it to look as well, because it's going to be in quite a prominent place, I suppose, in her house that she's just moved into. So it has to look right, and it has to be right for her. And I'll know if she doesn't like it. I'll know straight away. When she looks at it, I'll know. I'll know. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me to get this right. And there's another daisy painting, but the daisies take on a significance for the friend I'm doing it for. And she saw another painting that I had done with daisies in it, and she really liked that. So I said I would do something similar for her, but make the daisies the sort of the prominent part of the painting. But it's got a nice mixture actually in this painting, because it's got the daisies, but it's got buttercups, it's got grasses. It's obviously a nice summer's day. I love the blue sky in the background. It's a really nice, joyful image, and I love the combination of colours with the greens and yellows and whites, and even little splashes of reds in there. And the grasses, of course, bring it all out and make it look really. You just want to walk on that in your bare feet, don't you? It looks stunning. So I hope I can do it justice. So let's see what happens. Starting at the background of the painting and working forward, that means starting with the sky, and this sets the mood for the landscape, and in this case it's a simple blue summer sunny sky. So I simply apply lots of broad strokes of paint in various shades of blue until I build up the layers and get the overall effect that I'm after. Obviously the next layer to go onto the sky moving forward are the clouds, and clouds add the real drama of the landscape and of the weather. And here I simply want white, puffy, unthreatening summer clouds, but I want them to look fairly dramatic, but not enough to take away from the main focus of the painting, which will be in the foreground. So here I'm using a sponge and just applying some dabs of again shades of blue and white, and just blending it into the background to create the overall effect of the clouds. Okay, so that's that bit done. That's in a way that's the easy bit done. The next bit's going to be the real trial. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just do layers of sort of green, so it'll be lots of streaks of different colour green, and just build it up layer on layer, and then eventually start putting in the colours of the different petals of flower that are introduced in the background, and then put more layers of green, and then bring it all so that it all comes forward until hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll look quite good, hopefully.
Okay, so we're at the foreground of the painting. This is the most important part, of course. This is the part of the painting that really tells the story of what's going on, and so you have to pay a lot of attention to this and get this bit right, especially if there's quite a bit going on, or not, as the case may be. So you just have to apply lots of layers of different, in this case obviously it's a field, so there's lots of layers of green, and there's different shades of green, different textures of green. You can use different size brushes to get the different sizes of blades of grass. Here I'm actually using a palette knife and scraping the paint onto the canvas directly, and it gives a nice effect. And it also, not only do you create quite nice strokes of grass, but you can also give it a bit of a 3D texture as well, so you can actually see the paint and the texture of the paint on the canvas. So that's quite a nice effect, and it works quite effectively. And of course you can use different colours to imply different sorts of grasses. And then it's a matter of going on and try. What I was trying to do here was make the flowers, the wild flowers, as random as possible. So it's basically a case of deciding, okay, I'll put a petal here, I'll put a flower here, and sort of the angle of the painting is, it's almost like ground level. So obviously you've got a lot of taller flowers as well to get the effect of quite a busy wild field.
So we're getting there. At the moment I'm just waiting for some of these background colours to dry a bit, because I want to be able to go over the top of them without the paint going all over the place. So that's the stage at the moment. So I'm sort of I'm having a natural sort of pause to things at the moment, and but it's progressing nicely. I'm pleased with it. I have to say, I'm quite pleased with it.
Okay, so this part of the painting is really self-explanatory. I'm just dabbing on a few petals, some flowers, more grasses, and building up the detail of the foreground. So while I carry on doing that, it's time for a little daisy related joke. So two cows are standing next to each other in a field. Daisy says to Dolly, "I was artificially inseminated this morning." "I don't believe you," says Dolly. "It's true. No bull," exclaimed Daisy. I know, it's awful, isn't it? So here I'm just adding a few extra blades of grass into the background and gradually building up the foreground. Sorry about the joke.
Right, I'm going to call it a day now. It's getting on in the afternoon now, and I think I'm starting just to get to that point where I think I'm sort of picking at bits and doing this little bits and bobs that aren't going to have any significance over the overall painting. So I think what I'll do is I'll leave it now and do my usual thing of wait until tomorrow, sit with it overnight, look at it, make observations, and then when I come to start it first thing tomorrow morning, I'll have a good idea about exactly what I want to do. But it's taking shape, and I quite like it so far. So I'm going to leave it and come back to it again tomorrow. Okay, so here we are, day 2. So I've sort of been looking at the painting. I had it sort of sitting out in the living room last night when I was watching TV and that, and I would glance at it every now and again and come up with ideas and think about, do my usual thing, because I'm my own worst critic anyway. I'm pleased overall with the painting, but to me it just lacked something. It lacked some sort of focus. It just looked a bit too flat and too regimented. It needed a bit more randomness, and I thought I would put a few bigger, bolder daisies in the foreground, and a few stalks, and then work a bit on the mid-ground as well. And so that's what I'm going to do today, and just see where it goes, because I'm not quite sure how it's going to progress. I have a rough idea in my mind, and I'm just going to do that and see what happens. So we'll see.
So the first thing that you'll notice immediately is the big bold daisy in the foreground on the left of the painting, and that was really, I think it was badly needed to the painting, just to as a point of reference to draw the eye in, and help tell the story about what's going on. And I didn't want to overcrowd the painting with too many daisies, and because I thought that would just ruin it a bit, it would just be too overwhelming. So that was a nice balance, I thought. So here I'm just dabbing on blobs of paint with a palette knife, just adding on, and giving it some texture as well by using thick paint. Okay, have I got time for another joke? Oh, I'm sorry, no I don't, because it's coming to the end, unfortunately.
Well, as you can see, I've done bits and pieces to it now. I've sort of highlighted a few more flowers and put the paint on, put dabs of paint on quite heavily with a knife, just to bring it out a bit, give it a bit of a bit more dimension. I've put a bold daisy here in the foreground just to give it some focus. I think it was lacking focus. And then put a bit of a bud here, the daisy bud. And just put a few more stalks in and so on in the background, and the grasses. And I think I'm going to leave it now. I quite like it the way it is now, actually. I'm quite pleased with how it's come out. So I think I'm happy enough to say that that's it. That's the final thing. I think it gives the overall impression of just a nice sort of summer meadow with lots of natural flowers growing in the field. A nice summer's day, full of life, colour. So yeah, I quite like it. So I think I'll leave it at that and hope that my friend likes it as well. We shall see. Here's the remote. Thank you.
Okay, well, hold that thought, because it wasn't quite finished. I lived with the painting for another few days, and in that time I made a few minor little tweaks to it, nothing huge. So you'll just notice in the foreground it's mainly a case of adding a bit more detail, a bit more definition to the stalks to make it look like sort of grass and weeds and so on in the foreground. And finally I was able to get the picture framed, and here it is on my friend's wall, and I'm glad to announce that she did like the painting.